Okay, if you have one of these GoTrax or Xiaomi 365 scooters and it stops working on you, or if it's jerky, like when you're trying to get going and it's jerk sometimes, especially at lower speeds, you could have an issue with the connection on the battery down here at the lower level. It's quite common, and we're going to try and fix this one today. If you have that jerkiness, eventually you'll lose power altogether, so you might have a good battery and your computer's all good and lights and everything, but it just won't go. So if you lose power entirely, check out this fix for the connection at the bottom of the battery. It's a common issue, and we're going to fix it today. So we'll start by removing these two screws here, 4mm Allen, and then that will allow us to take off the handlebar. Once the handlebars are off, the battery comes out by grabbing onto it here and pulling straight up, and it'll come out as one unit. Okay, now we'll take the two 4mm Allen bolts out here and two on this side, and that'll allow us to remove the column. So as I mentioned, we've fixed this many times, and it's this red wire that keeps coming unsoldered from the connector here, which the big battery connects into the down here into the motor with. Okay, so you can see here's the male, here's the female, and the heat seems to be around this red wire, and we keep soldering it back on, and then it melts off quite quickly. So this is a common problem. Again, the number 5 red wire. The terminals at this end are numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3, 4, 5 end up down here. That's the phased wires for the brushless motor, which ultimately go into those connections. So this connection system with this solder and this little terminal here, over time they just seem to, I don't know, wear out. The solder melts. Maybe you need some kind of a high heat solder, but we're going to try and get rid of this connector and of course this connector and just hardwire this and see if we can do that. So that's the next step in this, is to get rid of this whole connector system that's very problematic on these scooters when they get a little bit older, and hardwire it. Okay, so there's the male end that was down here. We've cut that off, so there's the 3 wires. So that's garbage now. This piece was on this end. We cut all that off and drilled a bunch of holes in it, and actually glued part of the bottom part into here just to make a little channel to the wire so the wires can pass through. So now we'll join these wires up, put the whole thing back together, and see if it works. Okay, instead of hardwiring, we put these spade connectors on and crimp on connectors. That way if we need to take it apart one day, we can do that. Female connector on the battery side and the male on the motor side, and it's all connected together. The former piece that had the connector in it is this here, which we drilled a bunch of holes in to pass the wires through, and there's the 1, 2, 3, 4 little Phillips screws holding that on. So now it's just a matter of kind of tucking these wires in neatly somehow and bringing this back, the battery back down once the main column, the steel column, is back in place, and we'll see if our hardwiring works. So we're going to hold the battery in place, and now instead of sliding the battery in the steel column, we're going to slide the steel column on top all the way down. And wiggle it on there. There we go.